Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. It is me, Ronnie Caldwell here, and today we're going to be talking about Stoicism and humility and more readily applying some of the lessons from Philippians chapter 2 verses 5 through 8 to our daily life. Now, I am Ronnie Caldwell. I am a Stoic practitioner as well as someone who practices what I consider a Stoic Christian ethic and applies that to my life. Now, before you run away, you do not need to be a Christian, you do not need to be a Stoic to actually get something from the lessons we're being taught here today and what we talk about, because this is about applying historical wisdom, and Stoicism and Christian ethics tend to be the biggest influences in my life and what I have gleaned from them and how they help me live a better life. I have lived a flourishing and content and happy life, and I continue to do so and continue to work towards that. And so this channel is all about helping those who want to be better people in their day-to-day lives by applying some classical wisdom that we all know but maybe just need to be reminded about. So let's jump into it. So today I want to talk about a verse from the Bible, from the New Testament, Philippians chapter 2, verses 5 through 8. And for those of you who don't have a ready-made reference for that, don't memorize it. I haven't memorized the verse. I know the meaning, but I don't have it all memorized. I'm going to read it out to you and then talk to you about how what I take as the main lesson from this, Stoicism can help with it, but it's really important in our day-to-day lives and becoming the people who we want to become and people who are better for the greater whole. So here it is. Let this be in mind, which was also in Jesus Christ, who being in the form of God, thought it not robbery to be equal with God, but made himself of no reputation, and took upon him the form of a servant, and was made in the likeness of men. And being found in fashion as a man, he humbled himself and became obedient unto death, even the death of the cross. And really what this is saying, if I put it in plain terms, is that Jesus goes ahead as the Son of God, according to the Christian story. The Son of God, he has all this power, the power to heal, the grace of God, all these things. He comes to earth and actually, even with all that, humbles himself and makes himself a servant to other people. And even with all that gifting that he has, he still sees himself as no more than his fellow brothers and sisters. So what this is this ultimate idea, this ultimate example and modeling of, hey, this guy was really special, but still humbled himself for the greater good. And I think so much of this is important to us because it's not just about humility, it's about being formidable. Each person should become formidable, meaning each person should become a strong individual. But at that same point in time, maintain humility. And I think in today's world, we have a lot telling us, be this, make this kind of money, Mamba mentality, all these kind of things about our personal development and us becoming a boss and awesome and all these kinds of things. But we don't have much telling us at the same point in time, you can make yourself formidable in the right way, because I will say that most of what's being sold to us as becoming formidable is very surface level and probably has nothing to do with actually being a good person or the kind of person who's going to in the long term be good for the relationships they're involved in. But even still, when you hit that, can you still see yourself as no more than anyone else, that everyone still has equal amount of value and still be open to learning? So first, I want to talk about becoming formidable, because for a Stoic, becoming a formidable person was about and is about justice, courage, moderation, wisdom. So, and we say this moderation or self-discipline, is that someone who has learned to be courageous, meaning they're able to stand up for what they believe is right, to look at justice as a high value, treating other people as you would like to be treated. This idea of justice is equal within Christian ethics as it is in Stoic ethics. Wisdom, meaning I focus on what it is that I can control, and then thinking about how I can make the best decision moving forward. That is the essence of wisdom, is focusing on what is within my control, and then how do I go ahead and make the right decision? How do I think, what is the right thing to do now? Not the most expedient, not the thing that's going to get me the most likes, not the thing that is going to make everyone else happy, but what's the right thing? And then, of course, self-discipline, moderation, not overindulging in anything, right? The self-discipline of taking care of your body, of making sure that even in your even temperament, you don't allow, whether it's money, material things, all these kind of things, to overwhelm you, right? You practice this self-discipline and this self-control, and in your words and all these kind of things. So talk a little bit about becoming formidable. One, what are some ways that we can become formidable? Well, one, first of all, is to overcome base desires. Right? This idea, especially for young men, overcoming the temptation of getting into just inordinate sexuality. This idea that women are there to serve my physical needs. That's a terrible way of looking at the opposite sex in any way, shape, or form. And getting addicted to pornography, all these kind of things. This kind of stuff right here will whittle away at your spirit, whittle away at you mentally, will whittle away at your moral character. But also it's that overindulgence in food, right? It's the overindulgence in trying to, I want to look good for other people. I want to look, I want to be famous. I want to get these likes. These base desires, these things that are not really that important, and they're not really about the betterment of our character. We get attracted to them, and the more that we actually go in that direction, the farther we are away from being our best self. So that's one way that Stoics would become formidable, is by resisting that drive to that. That's that self-control. Standing up for what is right. Courage and justice. It takes both of these things. So thinking about the right thing. Would you want people, if you were in that same situation, would you want to be treated in that way? Or at least avoid doing things to other people that you would hate if it was done to you. And then having the courage to stand up for that, even when a majority of people thinks that, even if it's it takes a lot to stand up for what you believe in, to stand up against bullying, all these things. I've been in plenty of situations early in life where I didn't stand up when I should have, right? But I'll tell you, those times when I didn't stand up when I should have, they were easy in the moment, but hard overall. And I still look back and regret some of those things. There were times where I saw someone being bullied, where I saw someone being made fun of in a particular way that I knew was wrong, and I didn't stand up and say anything. Those still gnaw at me, those times. But then there had been an occasion when I got older that I did stand up for those who I knew were being mistreated. I did stand up for those who were not strong enough to stand up for themselves, but I said, hey man, no, that's wrong. We should stop doing that. When I did those things, there was discomfort in the moment. There might have been some uncomfort. There might have been, some weird looks. And on some occasions, some physicality was involved. But I still feel that that was the right thing. Those things in my mind, when I look back at that, have led to a self-image, have led to me being a stronger person and a stronger man for my family, for any organization that I've been a leader in, these types of things. And they're never done. You're never quite there yet. I still have to practice every single day and remind myself that it's important to stand up and be courageous and be just. And so many of us now in the modern world, especially in my home country, the United States, we stand so readily in our particular political movements or our political, our churches or this, that, and the other, or whatever group we are involved in. And many of us don't agree with every single thing our political party believes. And sometimes we go to a particular church and we don't believe everything the church says, or everything that's said at the mosque, or this, that, and the other, or wherever you go, whatever it is you're following. The idea of becoming formidable is to be able to say and to look at every situation in terms of real virtue, kindness, and justice to people, and to say, I don't agree with that. I might agree with you guys, and I might still be part of this group. I'm not saying I'm not going to be part of this group. It's like being in a family. I'm not going to disregard my family. I still love you guys, and we're in it till the end. But we disagree on this point. And I need to stand and just say, no, I don't believe that's right. Doing that in your daily practice, right? Within work, within your relationships, and doing it in a kind way. You don't have to be mean, but the practice of being able to say, I disagree there. I think actually, for me, based on my beliefs, I don't think that's the right thing. I would go in this direction. This is my opinion. And being okay to say that, to speak up for yourself in that way, is part of becoming formidable. And of course, as I've talked about before, what it is you can control. Focusing in on what you can control and then taking responsibility over that is essential to becoming formidable. Taking responsibility for your life. We have a lot of people who do want to spend a lot of time talking about all these other things that we have no control over. But if we sit there whining about those things, blaming those things, and allowing them to be an excuse for us to not get going, making ourselves formidable in our own lives, that is to our disadvantage. And I think the Stoics and I think Christian ethics combine on this point that we should take responsibility for our lives. We're the only one that's responsible for our lives. Really, in the face of whatever tyrants, whatever governments, whatever there is, we still are responsibility for caretaking our character, caretaking our soul. So how do you do that? Well, if you're uneducated, you start reading. If you want to think better, start writing about what you read. Start sharing what you read with other people. Start teaching the ideas. Start practicing them. Start embodying the ideas. For me, becoming formidable, one of the main things is every day I'm reading about how to be a good person. I read something that has to do with how to be a good person, how to be my best self. There's never a time where you arrive. Being formidable is a practice that happens every single day. It's something we have to be reminded of every single day because it's easy to fall away from it. So who you want to be, defining who you would like to strive towards being, who is your best self, part of becoming formidable is working towards that every single day, right? I think a great way to do it if you're a Stoic is reading something from Epictetus in the Enchiridion or Discourses or some Marcus Aurelius. If you're a Christian, I don't think you can go wrong reading the Sermon on the Mount. Reading the Sermon on the Mount, it's kind of a summary of the big bulk of what Jesus taught over the course of his life, but the ethics within that, much of it is very hard to disagree with, and much of it is, hey, this is how you would go about. I think whenever you look at something, you're like, if everyone tried to live in this way, would the world be better? And the answer is usually yes in those cases. It's up to us to decide how do we apply that in our lives. So the larger teaching, if we remember back to the story and the character of Jesus in that verse in Philippians. So Jesus Christ is kind of he is an ideal, right? He is literally God embodied on earth, according to the Christian story. So therefore, we are never going to be quite there, right? We're never going to be at the level of Jesus. But what we should do and take from that story is, how do we become? It's our responsibility to become that best version of ourselves. And then in that spot, when we're talking about, we stand up for what's right. We have self-control. We do the best we can at taking responsibility for our lives. But probably the most powerful lesson here is not just the formidable, but it's the humility. It's that in spite of all that and all what we're working at, we're just human beings. We make mistakes. We are going to be hypocritical. We try to not be hypocritical and practice everything, but we're going to be hypocritical. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to not live up to the ideals that we profess. That's just the nature of things. None of us will be perfect. So we have to be humble. If we get into this place of, I'm working to be my best self, and since I'm working to be my best self, you're a loser. If you're not doing the same thing I am, loser, right? You're losing the essence of being an ethical person, of being a good person. Because once we get there, then we stop being able to learn, because there's so much wisdom and kindness that can come from all these sources that we're not even ready for. What we have to be open to is there's still so much I don't know, and there's people out there who, when I approach them as being just as valuable as I am because we come from the same place. And this is a big part of both Stoicism and Christianity. Both philosophies believe in each of us just being a part of a greater whole. All of us coming from the same place, and at its ideal, what we're working towards is trying to work as one human family who all come from the same source. And when you actually believe that, and you believe that every single person has inherent value, not because they're pretty, not because they're sexy, not because they got a whole lot of money, but they're valuable because they're created by God, they're valuable because they come from the same place as you, and we are connected in that way. When you can approach people in that vein, then you show ultimate humility. When you know that I'm working at this and I'm trying to be the best I can and I'm still falling short. So I'm not better than anybody else. And if anything, I would still love to help and be a servant. Part of that Philippians, so Jesus comes with all this power, all this grace, and he still, it says, he makes himself obedient and he is a servant of other people. So, part of this humility, it's becoming formidable. But then, while we're working at that, still striving to stay humble, and in our humility, recognizing where we fall short, and also being willing to help a fellow brother or sister who's on the way, who's doing the best they can to get to where they want to go. I hope that was helpful for you guys today. I enjoyed recording this, and I just want to be a servant. You guys be good. Have a wonderful day.